Last week, the doctor told me I'm dying of lung cancer. It turns out that smoking since I was 15 and then going down to 3 packs a day a few years ago was a bad idea. Stupid, I know, but I thought I'd have more time. Now I'm in stage IV and have months to live. Please don't feel sorry for me. I've done nothing good in my life except give birth to my daughter, so there's nothing to be sad about. I don't have a family because I grew up in the foster care system. My daughter's father is in prison for serious crimes, and even if he got out, he would still be banned from her life. My daughter is only 3. We live in a bad neighborhood, and when I go to work, I have to leave her with an elderly neighbor who calls her by her name incorrectly every day. I don't want her to grow up like me, in this fucking foster care system. I feel like this is why I've screwed up and accomplished nothing good in life. Yes, I know it's not the only reason, and my own stupidity is the cause of most of my problems. But if I had family or support to look out for me, everything could have been better. I just want to give my daughter a chance to live a better life than I did, and I have an idea who could take care of her. One of my closest friends is a coworker, and she's amazing. I'm currently at the bottom of my job. Like, if there were layoffs, I'd be the first to get fired, but she's the best employee and makes serious money. She has a great husband and child. I want to ask her if she'd agree to adopt my daughter when I'm gone, but I know it's unlikely anything will come of it. The thing is, my coworker and her family are black, and my daughter and I are white. We both have blue eyes and skin that doesn't tan at all. I absolutely can't bear to ask my friend to adopt my daughter and force her family to deal with all the problems that entails. But then my little girl will grow up just like me, in a shitty system with only $1,000 in her will and my mother's necklace to give her. I don't know whether I should pluck up the courage to ask a close friend to take my daughter, or just suck it up and work as hard as I can to leave her with more money. But no matter how you look at it, I failed as a mother, and I'll literally take this regret with me to the grave. The day after my post, I was able to meet with a friend. After I told her about my diagnosis, which I hadn't told anyone at work, I asked her if she would be willing to adopt my daughter. She was in shock and tried to console me about my impending death. And she said she couldn't give me an answer right now. It turned out she'd always wanted a daughter, but something happened during her second pregnancy that caused problems I'm not allowed to discuss. So she wants to consider adoption, but first she needs to talk to her husband and discuss the plans, if he's willing. I understand, after all, this is a big change for their family. I said okay, and after we ate, she hugged me and said she'd miss me. I'm ashamed, but I actually cried. I also started writing emails for my daughter. Someone gave me this idea, and I thought it was fantastic. I created an email account for my daughter and started recording videos for different occasions. I already have an idea, and I've recorded several videos for her birthdays and important life moments. Her first crush, her graduation, her first job. It's sad to admit, but I realized most of these videos will have a "don't do like me" message. My friend messaged me a few days ago and said that after a long conversation with her husband, they're both seriously considering it. It turns out they have a rule. When it comes to big changes, they first come to a mutual decision and then wait a while. If after a while they're still on the same page, it's a good idea. She said it's not a yes yet, because they have some issues they want to resolve. She said that while they both really like the idea, they know next to nothing about my daughter. Her husband and 6-year-old son haven't even met her, and she only knows my daughter from what I've told her. So she suggested a plan they'd come up with. For this entire month, I'll have to get up 2 hours earlier than usual to take our daughter to their home, where my husband will watch her while he works remotely. Then I'll go to work with a colleague so her husband and son can get to know her better. She also said she wants us to spend Christmas with them. I already took my daughter to a friend's house yesterday, and when I came to pick her up, she was happier than I've seen her in a long time. My friend's husband said things weren't going well at first. She was really scared and didn't want to play with their son. But since it was the first day, he thinks things will get better. Today I brought her back, and my friend's husband said she mostly watched their son play. But everything went better than yesterday. That's the way things are now, and I'm afraid it will all be in vain. But at least my daughter is already feeling better in their home. Even if they ultimately say no, she'll still have warmer memories than when she was with me. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. A lot has happened, and this will be my last post. I started feeling really bad a few days after Christmas. My entire chest hurt like someone was hitting it with a hammer over and over again, and I started coughing up blood. My best friend panicked and thought I'd contracted something since the doctor said any illness could be fatal for me now, so I had to go to the doctor. Luckily, I didn't catch anything new. My symptoms just got worse. I was still working at the time, so I didn't have to pay much for treatment. Another terrible thing happened. After my trip to the hospital, I was urgently called back to work. Remember how I said that if anything happened, I'd be the first one fired? Well, guess what happened? Management said they couldn't keep me on the job if I was dying, because it wouldn't be right. My illness was clearly reducing my productivity, and as a result, my colleagues were having to work extra hours for themselves and for me. They said it would be unfair and all that. I understand that since my diagnosis, I've been causing a lot of problems for my colleagues, but I didn't think they'd complain about me to management. What a fool I am. Of course I was an abuser. I was hoping to at least work until the end of the month to pay the rent. After all, I barely had enough money for utilities, rent, groceries, transportation, and hospital bills. And then my best friend came to the rescue. She and her husband agreed to adopt my baby girl. She shared some plans with me, but I said it would probably be better if my daughter moved in with them right away. She asked why, and I confessed that I'd been laid off and couldn't take care of both of us with my meager savings. Then she said we could both move in with them. They had plenty of guest rooms in their house, and I could choose any. I swear I tried to refuse because her family already does so much for us, and I thought it would be too much. But she said I could be a great help to them in the last months of my life. Maybe it would be easier to work if I could look after my daughter, and I could help them decorate and furnish her new room, and show them what kind of food my little one likes. I promised them I wouldn't be a burden, and we're now busily working on the adoption paperwork after my death. Besides, my stay with them will help my daughter settle into her new home faster. And guess how well off her family is? They have a personal family lawyer. When I'm feeling better, we work together on the adoption. I have one more piece of good news to share. This Christmas, spent with a friend's family, was probably the best Christmas of both my daughter's and my own lives. My friend's family probably had 5 Christmas trees all over the house. Thanks to my friend, I was able to make a truly special Christmas gift for my daughter, a toy from Build-A-Bear. It's a store where you can literally create your own toy from scratch, participating in every step of the process. I chose a bunny, and I recorded a voice message for the toy about how much I love it and that I will always try to protect it. And my friend knows about the letters. I'm almost finished with them, only a few left. I gave her the passwords to both my email and this account so she could delete it when I'm gone. I'm sorry, but I'm getting so many messages and I don't want them to keep messaging me after I'm dead. I've gotten so many messages since my last update. It turns out my story was shared on TikTok, and it's funny. It's weird that so many people are messaging me now, wanting to talk. I've never felt this way in my life, and it's ironic that it's only happening now when I'm dying. Many people are writing that if my friend had refused, they would have gladly adopted my daughter themselves. Thank you, but fortunately, my friend agreed. But if you're still looking to adopt, please contact the foster care system in your state. There are children there who are still suffering just like I did. Please give them the life I never had. Many have also offered to send me money, but please don't. I'm sorry, but I'm uncomfortable accepting money. I've earned my own money my whole life, and it feels wrong to accept money and help from strangers just because I'm dying. I also want to respond to several messages about Rusi. Most of them asked why it mattered to me that my friend and her family were of a different race than me and my daughter. I want to say that my fears weren't because I thought my daughter and I were better off because we were white. Quite the opposite. I'd seen too much in the system and talked to other kids of different races, and I knew about those who were placed in families with people of a different race. They talked about problems not only with their parents, and I don't think my friend would have behaved that way, but also with the outside world. They were insulted. One child told me how some old woman yelled at him in a restaurant, and the parents tried to intercede, but it ended in a fight. So yes, I was afraid that her family and my daughter would face the same hatred as the adopted children I knew. But I can't let my fears about a bunch of idiots ruin my daughter's life. Anyway, this is probably the last time I write here. I don't want to waste my remaining days. I've even thought about taking up painting again. I drew in high school until I quit. In literature class, we read a classic novel about a world where books were banned. I don't remember the exact quote, but at the end, the hero said, "You haven't lived your life in vain if you leave something behind." This thought has always been with me. I want to draw something. Maybe my friend will hang it up or just keep it in the attic, but if I leave something behind, then my life wasn't in vain, right? I still need to help my daughter adjust to her new family. Thank you all for your kindness and goodbye. I've written and deleted this post so many times. She asked me to write to you when she's gone, and yet I'm only able to do so now. I'm so sorry. We buried her 2 weeks ago. My colleagues, our family, and the friends she kept in touch with throughout her life came to the funeral. When she learned the price of a casket and cemetery plot, she had a panic attack, and we told her we'd take the cheapest casket and plot. We lied. She deserved a proper burial and a dignified resting place. Her name was Michelle, and she was placed into the foster care system when she was 3 years old after her mother died in a car accident. She never knew her father. At 16, the man who was supposed to care for her pulled her out of school. At 18, she discovered she was pregnant with his child, and it soon emerged he had horrific photos and videos of children on his computer, for which he was arrested. Since then, she's worked and struggled to provide for herself and her daughter. She landed a job at our company just a few weeks after her 19th birthday. Only a couple of months ago, I learned she lied on her resume to get hired. I asked Michelle why she did that, and she said, "What difference does it make? They taught me everything anyway." That's just the way Michelle was. It pains me to read the letters she left for her daughter. She thought so little of herself. She always seemed confident and walked through life with her head held high and her purpose in life. She never seemed lost, except in her final months, and frankly, I think she had every right to have moments of panic and grief. Michelle seemed unafraid. She even befriended the homeless people who lived near her apartment before she moved in with us. One of them was named Tet, and he lived by the gas station next to the bus stop. Before her condition worsened and she was taken to the hospital, she asked me to take her there. I thought she wanted to see familiar places. But instead, she went into the parking lot, bought a sandwich, and gave it to Ted around the corner. Ted came to her funeral. I don't want to describe her last weeks. It happened in the hospital and she was so weak and frail. Not at all the Michelle we knew. We visited her as often as we could, but it was hard for our children to see her like that. And for all of us too, but we couldn't leave her alone. I keep wondering if we did the right thing. On my last visit, I had a feeling it was the end. She passed away in her sleep. There were gladioli and poppies at the funeral. We all loved the meaning of gladioli, and Michelle herself chose the poppies. She loved calling our daughter, "my little poppy." We even painted little poppies on the walls of her room. She constantly asks where her mom is and always sleeps like the bunny Michelle made. Michelle never finished her painting, but I think that makes it even more special. We'll hang it in our daughter's room when she's older. The emails are finished and she'll receive the first one on her 4th birthday. We're carefully guarding all the letters and recipes she wrote down. Like the painting, we'll gradually give them to our daughter as she gets older. We've also set up Social Security survivor benefits for her and will be putting them toward her college and independent living account. That's all I can say for now. At Michelle's request, I'll delete this account in a few weeks. My husband and I promise to raise our daughter the best we can and to love her as much as Michelle did. Thank you all for your kind words and support.